Welcome back to Campus Pressbox. I am your host, Damien Bowman, along with the co-host of the SEC 411, Mr. Bird LeCroy. Bird, how are you?
Doing great. Had a great weekend of college football. Everything's all right, just a little wet. We can't go. We're very wet down here in the South.
Yeah, it obviously based on the big games this weekend, it looked like everyone south of the Mason-Dixon got soaked the entire weekend.
Yeah, and most of ours, luckily, was drizzle. We didn't even have to put our ponchos on till we got ready to leave anyway. But boy, Alabama got soaked pretty good. But I think in the Carolinas is where it was brutal.
Was that you that was throwing that football out the stadium that I tweeted?
I didn't even see that happen. I can't claim that, but I thought that was pretty neat.
Yeah, no, that's funny. I saw that on Twitter and I was like that. It's not Bird, but I thought about you as soon as I saw it. That was so funny. So.
Well, several years ago when Auburn beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl in Jordan-Hare at 97, the goalposts came down. I don't know why they came down that year, but they did. And some students took a portion, the upright, up the steps and were about to throw it over the edge. And the press box guy, do not throw the goalpost out of the stadium. I repeat, do not. Oh, boy. Yeah, but that was Alabama had a losing record, and we beat them on a last-second field goal that year, so I don't know what the point of tearing the goalpost down was.
Why not, right? I mean,
why not?
Alabama at home, yeah, go crazy.
I mean, you better celebrate those. They're looking few and far between as we speak.
Yeah. I know you and Seth will be talking with Charlie Burris tonight, and I'm sure Alabama and Auburn and Georgia and hopefully South Carolina will come up tonight. So there's a lot going on in the SEC and a lot of, I mean, the disaster that is Tennessee football right now.
Got butched. As Clay Travis says, they've been butched.
Yeah, I mean, that's terrible. That's absolutely terrible. Did you catch the Notre Dame Clemson game?
After the game, we went to a friend's house and just had two or three TVs on, and we're just flipping, around and around. So we caught portions of everything. But primarily, we got a lot of we didn't get much of Clemson and Notre Dame because we were concentrating on the SEC.
Right. Okay, so a few weeks ago, Pat Forty and Dan Wetzel of Yahoo Sports on their Wetzel to 40 podcast went around and they did their top 5 stadiums that they've been to. So I thought I would get together with my SEC friend here, Bird, who has you've been to all the SEC stadiums?
Except Missouri. We haven't played there yet.
Okay. So you've been to 13 of the 14.
That is correct.
And I've been to a number of college stadiums myself. So Bird's going to do the top 5 SEC stadiums that he's been to, and I'm going to do the top 5 stadiums that I have not been to. So the people from Ohio State and the people from Michigan and the people from Tennessee and the people from LSU should not get upset because I enjoy all of your environments, but I've been to all of those stadiums, so they will not be on my list.
They will not be there. That's interesting. That's a good.
Yes. So it's a little different kind of list. I mean, it's very easy to talk about the top 5, and those 4 of those would be in my top 5. So there's no need to talk about them, and I know one of them is in your. Actually, 2 of them are in yours. So we will talk about those anyway. So
all right.
I am going to start with you on your number 5.
Number 5, the home of the 12th man, Kyle Field in College Station, Texas, out in the middle of nowhere, but just a great play. And I haven't seen obviously the new renovated one. We were there 2 years ago for when Auburn beat A&M. When D Ford sacked Johnny Football at the end of the game, and they were then. As soon as that season, 2013 season was over, they raised a lot of it. I think, including the entire possible East stands, and so it's a new venue. So I would really, and I may go. I have tickets. I might go this year, might not, but it's a great atmosphere, great people, the most hospitable people I've ever encountered on the road. Just nosing out Ole Miss at Oxford.
Yeah, I've heard, and obviously, you and I have talked about Ole Miss tailgating before, but I've heard nothing but good things about, as you mentioned, about the people at Texas A&M. So
just great people. I mean, they were so hospitable, even in the loss. We came out of the stadium. We were dazed by that last second win, looking around. Where's our car? And people come. Can we help you? Now, where are you parked? I said, well, all I know is I'm on George Bush Drive. I can remember that. But they said, oh. they said, okay, you're over there. And he crossed, and then it was just fantastic. And they were so kind, and they invited us into their tailgate, made us margaritas. It's just incredible, and great people that are very much like Auburn. They're the closest match I've seen with any of the other fans I've been around. Actually, A&M most closely parallels Auburn, I think. And I know I'm talking of my alma mater, but Auburn people are great people, and as are the Aggies.
Great student section at A&M, for what I understand.
Oh boy, and that brocking back and forth that they do, and of course they have yell leaders, male yell leaders. They don't have cheerleaders, and the capacity is now the largest in the SEC at 102,512, and it's the fourth largest in the NCAA, and it's the sixth largest non-racing venue in the world. So I'm talking.
Wow, look at you! You got all the facts. You're ready.
I had to do a little research this morning, very little, but enough to be hopefully semi-fluent.
Yeah, no, that's good. Okay, so my number 5 is in a city that is close to my heart. I have relatives who live there, and I have never been, but I would love to go there, especially now that it has been renovated or rebuilt or whatever they did to that place. 72,000 seat Husky Stadium in beautiful Seattle, Washington, home of the Huskies of the University of Washington. Bert, I don't believe you've ever been there, correct?
Have not. I have a brother in the area, but I've never been out there to a ball game yet.
Yeah. And I think the best thing about Husky Stadium is that it's it's right on the lake, and you can a lot of people just dock their boats.
Yeah, that's one of those, and of course I'll get to nailing.
Right.
That's a teaser for you folks.
Yeah,
but with the fleet and the boats coming up and so forth and so on, and it's just, and of course we've seen it, and I think they have that open in one stadium. I mean, in that stadium, don't they, where you can see the water? Yeah.
Yes, it's a beautiful venue. It's one of the loudest in the NCAA. I believe it's one of the loudest anywhere. I think maybe Arrowhead Stadium might be louder for the Kansas City Chiefs. But I cannot think of another place that is as loud as Husky Stadium. Now, the only thing that would make that place better is if Peterson could put on a consistently winning football team.
That's what I was going to say. If Chris Peterson can get it going out there, and you would think he would. He really would. He did so well at Boise.
Yes. Okay, so on to your number 4, which was, and to be, honest here, this was also on my list, but for obvious reasons, we're just going to talk about it one time. So number 4 for you, Bird.
Number 4, we're over between the hedges in Athens, Georgia at Sanford Stadium with a capacity of 92,746. And one of the things that sticks out to me about Sanford Stadium, I've been over there like during spring or summer when I was working and walked around doing my daily exercise. But whenever Auburn plays over there, it's mid-November, and the leaves are probably just past peak, but the ground's covered with leaves, and it's just an idyllic college football atmosphere in November in Sanford Stadium, and it sits down. It's one of the oddly structured stadium. It sits down in a valley, and so they didn't have to spend as much money to build the seats into the side of the hill. You actually walk down into the stadium, and there's a huge bridge in the what would it be, the west end zone? That another odd thing about Sanford Stadium is they don't go run north and south. They go east and west because of a creek that the stadium is built over, and of course the hedges are one of the iconic. Several people have copied Georgia since then with hedges, including Auburn. But it's just in the atmosphere there, and the dogs, and great people, SEC. The town, it sits very near the town, and Athens is just a great college football town as well. Great stadium.
Yeah, I've never, like I said, I've never been there, but it's certainly on the list of places that I'd like to go visit. The hedges, and unfortunately, the game for them this weekend was not pretty. Alabama won 38-10, I believe, and just ran all over the place.
Incredible.
And it looked like the people started leaving in the second quarter. Like, I don't even know if a lot of people made it to halftime. So it was unfortunate, and obviously, a hurricane was basically going through, as you mentioned earlier. So.
No, that was that. Yeah, that was. It's unfortunate to have to sit in inclement weather over there because when it's a bright sunny day, it's one of those great experiences, especially when both teams are SEC, and especially, and there have been many times Auburn has knocked Georgia out, or Georgia has knocked Auburn out of contention for a huge bowl or a spot in the SEC championship game. And for many years, the visitor in the Auburn and Georgia game, the visitors still have leads on the other campus, but for a lot of years, I mean, the visitor won almost every game. And so I've seen Auburn beat Georgia 6 times in Sanford Stadium action, and saw 2 losses there, so that helps.
Yeah, it certainly does. This will definitely be a place that I visit soon because it's like you said, iconic between the hedges and all the history and the dogs and everything. And I enjoy SEC tailgating almost as much as I enjoy the football. So yeah. I think that this is again one of those places that I think that that I absolutely have to get to. In fact, I mean, looking at your list, all 5 of these places, if you've never been to any of these places in the SEC, just go to tailgate, if nothing.
Yeah, go to tailgate. If you don't get a ticket, you will if you sniff around closely enough. But a lot of people go. A lot of people. We have friends that go to Auburn, and we've met people other places. They just set up their satellite and watch football games all day and tailgate. But and that's all well and good. It's just a great deal of fun.
Okay, so my number 4 is named after the former president of the formerly Women's College, Doak Sheridan Campbell Stadium at Florida State. Bird, when's the last time you were at Doak Campbell?
I have only been there once, and it was in 1989. Came out on the short end of that game, but Florida State had a really good ball team. But they love their Knolls down there, and I like the setting with the live oaks and as well. That's a good choice on your part.
Yeah, I think one of the best parts of the stadium is the one end zone where they've kind of got like the press. I don't know if it's press seating or suites on that side, and that like a stained glass window on the other side, and that place at night is beautiful. And back when Florida State, when Bobby Bowden was there and they did the war chant and all that, I mean that's kind of why this place made my list. It's just, I mean, I think it only seats about 80,000 people. Right, only 80,000 people, right?
For the SEC, that's kind of small, actually.
Yeah. I mean, for the SEC, it's kind of small, but still, I mean, it's just it feels like it's one of those intimate places that everybody should also go to because of all the history and obviously Bobby Bowden and because of the recent success of Florida State.
Yeah, and when the Chief Osceola rides onto the field and plants the spear, that's one of the great moments in game day pageantry, really.
Yes, I agree. I actually forgot about that. That's actually a great point. So your number 3 is one of my most favorite places in America.
Yes, I enjoy this place. Neyland Stadium in Knoxville, Tennessee, which is sitting there on the edge of the Smoky Mountains, and it's the town, the whole atmosphere. It's beautiful anyway. It's a great place just to go, and another great place to go tailgate because the visitors now. The last 2 times I've been there, sit in the south end zone. My tickets have been there anyway, very near the top, and so you can just go right back up to the top and look over at the Tennessee River. There's a road that runs right behind the stadium on the south end, and then of course the Tennessee River is there, and many people come there, by boat, by houseboat, platoon boat, or whatever, and yachts, whatever, and tailgate there. And it's great setting, and it's so imposing. And it's sort of the polar opposite of Athens. The stadium rises up off of the ground, not down into it. And I haven't been on the field, but I've heard that's one of the most imposing, intimidating sights in sports, is standing on the field at Neyland and then looking up, and all you can see is the sky. It surrounds you with 102,455 people, and of course Tennessee forms the band forms the T. They play Rocky Top 600 or 800 times a game, and the fans have always been good to us. And I haven't had as much luck of success in games. I think I'm 2-4 there, 2-4-1 maybe, but it's just a great place for a football game, and it's. And great tailgating, and very near town. You can walk to the town of Knoxville before and after the game, have a big time as well.
Yeah, I agree with you on all that. I also have not been on the field, but I've heard the same thing about how intimidating that place is. My first time there was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and the person that I always go with is a Tennessee guy, so he gets tickets or whatever, and our seats were pretty much right under that scoreboard that they built, that big new scoreboard.
Yeah.
And so I am afraid of heights.
Oh,
And
gosh.
yeah, and so getting up there was not a problem, but literally when I walked down, one of my friends had to like hold my hoodie so I didn't like try and fall over walking down.
Yeah.
I mean that is so high up. I kept making the joke that when the airplane was doing the flyby, like I think we were actually higher than he was, because you're so high up there, like you're hanging out with God up there watching football. That place is so big.
That's the truth, and that's a quote I saw when I was reading about some of these places earlier today. Was that that is one of the places in college football where the stadium is the star, and it really is.
Right. I don't know if it's true, but I would guess that that's probably, if not the tallest building on campus, definitely one of the tallest buildings on that campus.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
and it's just on Philip Fulmer Way.
Yeah, Phil Fulmer
Manning
Way.
Drive. Peyton Manning Drive is nearby.
Yep. Yeah, and then like you said, I mean, Rocky Top about 6 or 7. If you don't know the words to Rocky Top before you get to that stadium, and so when you go, did you go to Vol Walk or anything, or did you just kind of tailgate and go to the game?
We just kind of tailgated and went to the game, but we were fortunate the last 2 years ago when we were there that we didn't hear Rocky Top as much because we won 55-13. So
right.
they didn't have a chance to really crank it up as much. But that's an enthusiastic group of people, and I was just hoping they had a better product on the field this year. And that's another story, I guess.
Yeah, that's a totally different conversation. I mean, it's pathetic what's going on over there right now. But
yeah, they need to be relevant. They really do. The East needs them. The SEC needs them.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the staying powers in college football needs to get relevant again, kind of like Texas, which we will talk about at some point, I'm sure, in the near future. And if you get there before the game starts, at a half hour, 45 minutes, I'm almost positive that the band literally plays a song every 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I think that my friend, when we went, I think he counted and heard it 40 times before the game even started. 40.
And Rocky Top is not even the fight song.
Right.
Yeah,
right, exactly.
But it's the fight song. I can sort of hear it in my head, but I don't know the words. I don't even know what the name of it is because everybody thinks Rocky Top. You know,
and it's so funny because I obviously live in Ohio, and Ohio State's big song is Hang On Sloopy, but it's not Ohio State's fight song. And I always make the joke that everybody loves Hang On Sloopy, but nobody knows the words. And it's the same thing with Rocky Top. Nobody knows the words. They just know that little, that one phrase when they get to yell or whatever.
Yeah, Hang On Sloopy. You don't happen to remember who did the
McCoys.
There you go, Damien. Good.
Come on now, Bird.
Yeah.
I'm a music guy.
All right. Well, I'm a music guy. We'll have to have a music podcast one day. Then.
All right, we'll do best fight songs in college football or something in a few weeks. How about that?
Yeah. All right.
Okay, so my number 3 is a stadium that was featured this weekend, Memorial Stadium at Clemson, and obviously the biggest tradition there is running down the hill and Howard's Rock. Bert, have you ever been to Clemson Stadium? I had
a little work over there back in 1998, but it was summertime. So I just I left my hotel and went over there, walked over there, touched the rock, did all of that. I went to the stadium, but obviously there was no ball game that day. But I had to do it, and I did have tickets to go over there back in 2011 or something and sold them, and I wish I hadn't. But we have a home and home coming up with Clemson starting next year, so we'll definitely make that one.
But essentially, the players touch or kiss or whatever they do to this rock as they enter the field.
Yeah, that's another one of the great traditions in college football.
Yes, I love. One of my friends actually offered to take me to Clemson this year a few weeks ago. I can't remember who they were playing, and somebody in my family was having a kid, so I was stuck on babysitting duty, and I couldn't make it, but. I would have liked to have gone this past weekend, and then obviously I saw the rain, so I'm glad that I didn't have the chance to go this weekend because I probably would still be wet from Saturday night.
Oh, gosh, yeah, and Great ball game, evidently. I just saw some highlights, and but Notre Dame came back and made it really interesting. 24-22, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, Brian Kelly pretty much shot himself in the foot, but
oh boy, yeah.
We'll get into that, another time. So, okay, number two,
which will be the third largest stadium in the Southeastern Conference, behind Kyle Field at number one and Neyland Stadium at number two, is I get chill bumps thinking about this place. Even the butt whippings I've taken down there, which have been many and severe. Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and at night. And I've been 4 times, and they've all been at night. And the first one was the earthquake game. When Auburn led the entire game, and if they had won, played too conservatively, lost 7-6 when Tommy Hodson hit Eddie Fuller across the middle after missing him on the same play, but just before the winning play. But Auburn's line rushed him on that final drive, and they finally gave out of gas, and he hit him. LSU wins 7-6. In the Richter scale registers earthquake, like a 5 or 6 point on the Richter scale earthquake that when they completed that pass. And but to say that was tough. That's a tough loss. But just being down there, Auburn did not play a night game. Didn't even have lights in there. And Jordan Hare until 1981, Pat Dye's first year. So we would travel to Auburn in the afternoon, and oftentimes. Riding back at night, we would listen to the LSU play-by-play, and they were always at night. And it was just, in my mind, I had pictured it, for years and years, and I just, dreamed of the day I went to Tiger Stadium. And so I've been able to go 4 times, and there is nothing like it. I don't think there's a better atmosphere in sports. It's incredible. As former coach Mike Archer said, you can smell the bourbon from the field. It's just, and you can't hear. I had a friend that was down there on the sidelines, a friend from Lindy's magazine, and back in '97, and I was talking to him after the game, and we managed to win that one win that I have down there, and he said, trying to communicate down on the field, is impossible. When it gets loud down there, you cannot even hear yourself think, and those people are crazy, and. It just makes, and the first time we went, I know they've renovated, but I love the old edifice, the old Tiger Stadium. And there were actually freshman dorm rooms in the stadium when we went down there back in '98. And there was a guy, they were having a good time, having some beverages, and a guy had a amplifier set up in his window there at Tiger Stadium as we walked around looking, and he said, "Auburn fans, go home. You are meeting your," he was intimidating us like that. And that was, it's pretty funny. But I just can't. If you haven't been, you have to put that on your bucket list. You gotta go.
Yeah, it's Tiger Stadium is one of my favorite places in sports, also, and it doesn't rank as high as Neyland does for me, or even Michigan Stadium, which I think is absolutely wonderful. Dug in the ground, and you come. When you walk in the stadium, you come in about 2/3 of the way up the seating bowl and all that other stuff. But I love the tailgating atmosphere at LSU, which you spoke about, and the food, and the bourbon, and the beer, and the alcohol, and the liquor, and I mean everything, and the beautiful women, and the smack talk those guys are talking. I mean, they're talking smack even when they lose. They're talking smack down there.
Oh yeah. That's part of it, and really, it's not. We talk about being intimidated a little bit, but it's the time that we've experienced it. Most of it was in good fun, and most of it was before the game. I mean, we had. We just had a great time, and by and large, we've been treated well down there. People will invite you to their tailgate, and you have all that wonderful food like jambalaya and gumbo, and it's just incredible. If you're a sports fan, you got to go. Yeah, you simply have to.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that's a great place. And, it's always funny because when we on this show, sometimes we'll do, we'll pick teams, or, we'll pick games or whatever. And anytime somebody says LSU or whatever, and they're at home, and I say, if it's at night, it's the LSU is going to win. I don't know what their home record or their night record is, but I would guess it's probably like 90-3 or something crazy like that. It feels like they never lose at home at night.
It does feel like that. And growing up, listening to those games, it seemed like they always won. And they had a little dry spot there after Charlie McClendon retired as coach back. I forgot when I can't remember exactly when that was. And they went through several coaches in a row, but boy, Les brought it back. And wow, I don't know what his record is, but I'm going to have to look that up. And I'm pretty sure you can count the losses on one hand that Les has had in Tiger Stadium since he's been head coach. Pretty darn close to it.
So so this is from 2012, and Saturday night game record under Les Miles is 34-1, and that was in 2012.
12. So you add 13, 14, and a little bit of 15. And,
right.
And I'm trying to think of losses. There may have been 2 or 3. Well, Alabama.
I was going to say we know that 9-6 game or whatever wasn't that at LSU?
That was Tuscaloosa.
Oh, okay. So, but still, I mean, 34-1 at home at night.
Yeah. I think Alabama has won the last 2 there. That would put them at 3. They may have 4 losses under Les, which is 90 some odd %. I'm sure. I mean, it's just incredible. And Les loves the grass down there too.
Well, no, because he eats it.
He eats it. He says it's the tastiest in the country, and you got to trust Les.
What an amazing guy! I mean, I think you and I talked about this a few weeks ago about either him or Spurrier replacing Lee Corso when he finally retires from ESPN Game Day. I think that would be a hilarious experience in itself, just to watch either one of those guys every Saturday morning.
Oh yeah, he was there a couple of weeks ago. It may have been our game. He comes out before and visits with the crew. You know, the ESPN Game Day crew, and or was it? Yeah, it was ESPN. So it wasn't when Auburn played down there, but they had Game Day down there recently, or either the SEC Nation, one or the other. It had to be. It probably was the Nation with his boy Marcus Spears and Feinbaum and that crowd. But Les is a very good guy. There was a story somebody posted, a father of a child posted on the Auburn Scout board that I belonged to, and he was talking about they were waiting at a restaurant after a game in Baton Rouge. It must have been 4, 5, 6 years ago, and Coach Miles, Les comes up, and he's waiting to get in the restaurant. Of course, he can walk on in if he needs to, but he stops there and bends down and gets eye to eye with their son and says, "That's a great looking jacket you got there, son." And he had his Auburn jacket on, and he was, for him to do something like that, he didn't have to, but he's that kind of guy, I think.
Les Miles is 46-4 Saturday nights. 2 losses to Nick Saban. He's the only one of 3 coaches who have beat Miles in Death Valley at night, which is crazy to me. I can't find the other 2, but
Saban knows the terrain down there well, doesn't he?
Yeah. We always forget about the years that Nick Saban has down there in the national championship, because it's so funny that it doesn't even feel like he was ever there. And before that, obviously at Michigan State, people forget a lot about the years that he has at Michigan State as well.
Mm-hmm. And he has been highly successful everywhere he has gone, including there now. And they miss him. I know they got all riled up about it, but I think a lot of folks still love him down there because he made it what it is today, and Les just was able to come in and pick it up and continue it, which is remarkable, really.
Yeah. My number 2 is we're going to visit the Big Ten, Camp Randall Stadium at Wisconsin.
I'd love to go there too. Love to.
Yeah. Definitely one of the places in the Big Ten that I want to get to. It's, I would say, I've been to Ohio State, and I've been to Penn State, and I've been to Michigan, and all 3 of those places are huge, 100,000 plus, and they're crazy home field advantages, both in the day, but especially, Penn State at night. And I think that Wisconsin has that same feeling at night, and the same probable kind of record that LSU has at night, in comparison. So built on the old Army site and named for the old governor of Wisconsin. Yeah. So I think, that's right. Capacity is 80,000, which again feels small, even in the Big Ten when you compare it to the other 3 that I named. But one of those intimate places. I mean, a place like Notre Dame only has like 83,000 seats, and and everybody loves the atmosphere and the history at Notre Dame, and I think Camp Randall is one of those as well. And they have the what do they do? Jump around there, between the 3rd and the 4th quarters. That tradition, and then the 5th quarter, and then they have the Wisconsin marching band and all the excitement of the Big Ten, and obviously Barry Alvarez and the running game and the strong defense and all that other stuff at Wisconsin. And
our friend Bert spent a few years there.
Yes,
we call him Bert, but it's Coach Bielema. Coach Bielema.
I would say they would like to have him back after their loss on Saturday.
Oh man, don't you know it?
Oh man, that was
He did a pretty darn good job there.
yeah. Your number one.
Well, number one will probably come as no surprise to anyone, and it's not just because it's home sweet home, but the game day experience at Auburn, I think, really is probably second to none, or rivals, at least rivals any in the country. And of course, we've been doing it since first one was in 1961, and we were just there Saturday. And of course, the team is not what we had hoped for this year, but you just and it was the first time I had been. For whatever reason, I sold my tickets and missed the Mississippi State and Jacksonville State games, and I'm glad I did. A win that felt like a loss and a loss, but just driving into town and parking the car and then hitting College Street, and it was just, I just get I get emotional about it every time I go there because there's so much history with us and our family and our football team, and of course the people I mentioned, Texas A&M, Auburn people are some of the finest in the country. You have the Tiger Walk, which is second to none as far as traditions, as well as the flight of the Eagle. And this past week it was Nova, I believe. We have Nova in spirit, and it's just and loud. I've heard several opposing players talk about this. There's not a stadium in the SEC unless it's Tiger Stadium that's as loud as Auburn when it's raucous, and it's just it's an incredible atmosphere. And now we also have the largest jumbotron in college football there, and that's a sight to behold. But if you have a medical condition, I don't know if I'd recommend it because the way it flashes on and off and swirls, and it's just amazing. And we're lucky to sit by some great people there too. So. But going there is special, it's like going home, and especially when you win, there's nothing that can match it. There's just nothing like it.
Have you always had the same tickets?
No, we off and on over the years. We went out of state for a few years. We were part of the Greater Auburn Fund. We until we left, and we spent some years in New York and California. Came back and got up again, and so we built up a good continuity over there over the last 20-something years. And but we sit in section 40, row 40, seats 1 through 4, with a halfway up in the north end zone with a perfect view of the field and the big jumbotron.
Okay, so my number one should come as no surprise. Our very own Mike Wilson was there this past weekend. It is the Rose Bowl in beautiful Pasadena, California. Where you've been, huh?
I went there 2 years ago when we played Florida State, and I just couldn't. And even though we lost, it's still one of my top 2 or 3 favorite road trips ever in college football. Because boy, you go out there and and you see the San Gabriel Mountains, and oh God, and the palm trees, and then that that iconic logo on the stadium, and if that doesn't get your get you fired up. Your wood's wet, really, and I can hear Keith Jackson. Welcome to beautiful Pasadena, California, the Rose Bowl, the granddaddy of them all. And I'm saying, wow, I can't be doing this. Pinch yourself. This is real.
Right. Yeah. It looks absolutely beautiful, and I'm sure I think they just did renovations, and they probably need to do some more.
They do.
Yeah, because the place is 1922 or 1925 or something like that, so it's almost 100 years old. So, but yeah, like you said, I mean, it's just the place is just beautiful. Certainly a place that I would love to go. Seats just under 100,000. UCLA plays all their home games there. I mean, how lucky are you if you play at UCLA or if you go to UCLA and you get to have all of your home games at the Rose Bowl?
Oh man, that's the truth. And it sits, Pasadena sits, outside northeast of L.A. And you come out of all that concrete and glass and all of those interstates and just the madness of L.A. And then you drive into beautiful Pasadena, which is a wonderful community, just a lovely town. And then you drive up this long lane, and of course there sits the Rose Bowl, and there's a golf course right behind it. That's where we tailgated when we were there, and it just and it does need work. As far as being able to compete for the national championship game, not the playoffs obviously, but the championship game, they're going to have their backs to the wall because I think the powers that be are going to want more than what they can offer in facilities right now. So,
yeah, I know. I love the idea of them the Sugar Bowl or what do they call that? The Mercedes-Benz Dome or whatever that place is called now. I don't remember what they call that place.
Yeah, Superdome. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Superdome. I'm sorry. I love the fact that the Sugar Bowl. I mean, the Sugar Bowl is my favorite bowl game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love the Sugar Bowl. And if they only played the national championship at the Superdome and the Rose Bowl, I would never complain about that.
I agree. Yeah, Sugar Bowl. We grew up with being, of course, SEC. We grew up with the Sugar Bowl as the goal, right. And we've been 5 times, and it's nothing like that either. And so the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl make the semifinals. But last year, where did we? Alabama played Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl last year, didn't they? Yeah, in the playoff game.
Yeah, I was gonna say my first Sugar Bowl was the '93 Sugar Bowl. Miami and Alabama.
Whoa! So, what a game!
Yeah, I was 11 or 12 or however old I was, but I've been 2 times since then, and the only other bowl game that I want to go to is the Rose Bowl because it is the granddaddy of them all. I've been to a few other bowl games, and they're great, but like I said, I mean, to me, the Sugar and the Rose are the 2 best bowl games in sports.
I agree. I absolutely do.
Any other places that you have not been that I have not mentioned that you would like to go?
That would like to go. Let me see. Let me think out. Going out west or north. I had the opportunity. We lived in Albany, New York for a few years, and I never didn't make it over to Syracuse, and I did not make it to West Point. We went to West Point and visited the campus, but I would love to have gone to a ball game.
Yeah, I've never been to. I've been to Army Navy game a few times, and I'm going this year, but I've never been to a game at what is that? Mitchie Stadium? Is that what that place is?
I cannot remember. I think of Beano Cook because Chris Fowler used to imitate Beano Cook, on the shores of the Hudson, and come the mighty, whatever he was quoting. And we miss Beano. He was iconic in college football as well. But you mentioned Camp Randall, and I said I would like to go there. I would love to. Of course, I'd love to go to the Horseshoe, and I'd love to. You mentioned Washington. I'd love to go there. Let me think if there's anything else. I have been to Austin, but that was in 1991, Auburn in Texas, and I was a little underwhelmed. I'm sure things are different. They have improved the place, but we were in the, I guess it was the north end zone, and it was just set so far back from the field, this huge track around the field, and not overly impressed with it. But I've never been to the Orange Bowl, and that's one thing I would have loved to have gone to the old Orange Bowl before the venue moved, but right. So be it.
A place that I would like to go in relation to Texas is not Texas or Oklahoma, but I would love to go to the Cotton Bowl for the Red River Shootout.
Oh, yeah. Well, now we have been to the Cotton Bowl. We saw Auburn and Nebraska there before Jerry World, and we saw Bo Jackson was a senior. We played Texas A&M, and we went to the old Cotton Bowl. That was really neat. And then it wasn't the bowl game. It used to be the Big Four with the rose, sugar, cotton, and orange. That was before even the Fiesta wedged their way in there. But Cotton Bowl was very old, another one of those old places, But those places have so much character. Some of the new places can with all the glitz and glamour and everything, sometimes can almost be a little sterile or something. I don't know.
That's how I feel about Cowboy Stadium, the new one. Like it's an absolutely beautiful venue. I've been there 2 times. But it to me, and I've never been for a Cowboys game. I've only been for college football. But it's one of those places which is crazy, right? Because we just talked about Neyland, and I mentioned Michigan and Penn State. It just feels like it's too big and it's very sterile.
Yeah, I hear you. It just seems that way, and I've only seen it from television, and I sure as heck won't be there come college playoff time this year. Because that's where the big one is. No, Glendale.
Yeah, they're in Arizona this year. They were there last year, weren't they? I believe they were there last year.
I believe so, because Alabama lost in New Orleans and Florida State lost in the Rose Bowl.
Pasadena, right? Yeah, so I think
it had to be.
Yeah, I think they did play there last year.
But we lived in that area, and we've been to TCU as well, but that was back in the 70s. It's not anything like it was. TCU was horrific. The stadium only seated about 40,000, and I'd love to go see it again now that that they have a competitive program. More than competitive.
I think that the two places in the Big Ten, actually the three places in the Big Ten, I mentioned them already. In no particular order, I think you need to go to Michigan so you can tailgate on the golf course. And then again, the stadium, which is below ground level. I think you need to go to Ohio Stadium, which honestly is not one of my favorite stadiums. It's concrete, but the entrance that's kind of like that scooped out half dome on the end, that one end, is beautiful. The tailgating there is ridiculous. Lane Avenue, the Varsity Club, all the bars, Olentangy River, which my drunk friends call the Olentangy River, which is always funny because people get so upset when you say that. It's so funny. Like Columbus people get so upset when you say it the wrong way. It's great. It's really, I love it. And then the other place, like I mentioned before, is Penn State, and you must go for a night game, and I hope that they wear white when you go.
Oh man, there's some. You know what? I feel the makings of a book. I've got to find a way to be funded and travel for an entire college football season, and go to several games and around the country and write about it. Wouldn't that be ideal?
Yeah. Oh my God, I think that's you could get a motorhome and just you and the missus could just drive around all college football season.
Oh yeah, that would be sweet. But now, as far as fans go too, I would be remiss if I did not mention Kansas State. We went there last year. It's a good venue, and I'm sure it's seen a lot of improvements over the year. You know, in the middle of Kansas, out in the middle of nowhere, and we parked in this field. But the people there were right up there with A&M and Ole Miss, some of the most hospitable fans, and again remind me of Auburn in a way that it's much like family, which it's not the Auburn nation, it's the Auburn family, and I think Kansas State's the same way. Good people, and of course Bill Snyder is God, so it's quite a place. I would recommend it as well.
And my last recommendation is obvious, I think, coming from me, and the campus is absolutely immaculate. The grass is, I don't know what height it's at, but every single blade of grass is cut to the same length across the entire campus. Wow. There's not a scrap of paper anywhere. Touchdown Jesus obviously is there. Notre Dame Stadium. I think Notre Dame. That's a must for every college football fan. Absolutely. Right. And then another one of those places you can just envision, and by the time you get there, it's built up so much in your mind. And so, oh boy, that's got to be done. Yeah, I think I always tell people if you've never been to Indiana, and there's only two places in Indiana you can get. One is Indianapolis Motor Speedway. To me, I mean, one of my favorite places. I go to the 500 every year. And the second is Notre Dame Stadium. I think those two places represent the state of Indiana very well. And obviously, if you have time to get other places, I would say Indiana War Memorial downtown is absolutely beautiful. I don't know if you've ever been to Indianapolis, but I have. I spent a few weeks there in 1995, actually. Sure yeah. And they were tearing up Marketplace or Market Street, whatever. It was just torn asunder. They were renovating downtown then, it seemed like. So it was kind of difficult to get around. But I liked it. It exceeded my expectations. Indianapolis did. Indianapolis is a beautiful city. I mean, it's super underrated, and it is Market Street, and all the streets downtown are beautiful, and all the bars and everything's real close. You can go to the JW, which is the JW Marriott Hotel, which is a big blue sheet of glass building, and the hotel rooms are beautiful, and it's worth it. And the other place in Indiana that if you have time, the other place that I would say, Assembly Hall, right, for basketball. Yeah. Well, boy, you're talking about an amazing, iconic place. Yeah. I think that's it, Bert. I think we're done. Well, it's been a lot of fun. We'll have to come up with something similar to this in the future. Yeah, tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter and the personal page and all that other fun stuff. On Twitter, at Autull, AUTULL. My personal domain is birdlecroy.com. And, of course, right here at campuspressbox.com. And don't forget to check out Bird and Seth on the SEC 411. You can subscribe to that podcast and obviously this podcast at campuspressbox.com/subscribe. I am Damien Bowman on Twitter at Damien Bowman, DAMIENBOWMAN. And you can email me, damien.bowman@campuspressbox.com. Once again, Bird, thank you so much for visiting with me today to talk about college football stadiums and all this other cultural stuff that I always learn from you. Yeah, well, thanks for being generous with your time. Anytime. It's a lot of fun. Okay, thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great day.